Alright guys, what is up? This is Michael from Team Dreadnought bringing you the other Keter Sanctuary build being Hexaorb. I'm going to be honest, next set makes this deck a lot better, but also gives you PvD, so build at your own discretion. I think it's a fun deck, and I really think it's pretty expensive, but it's actually really fun. If you liked OTT, you'll like this deck. It plays similar, not exactly the same, and doesn't have much draw power, but it has the same kind of scry mechanics, so liking OTT, you'll probably like this build. I'll go through the ride deck first and then do triggers 1, 2, and 3. Ride deck, your generic starter. I like to match in theme with the ride line, so I use the one from the set. Just draw a card if you go second. Sorceress. I wasn't big on this card for the second effect at first, but after testing, it's so good. When this unit is rode upon by the grade 2, you can counterboss 1 and draw 1 card, so that's pretty solid. And then when she's in your back row and you drive check a trigger unit, you can counterboss 1 and tuck one of your opponent's front row. In the Nirvana matchup, it completely destroys and shatters their plan. You get rid of the Virinos and everything underneath it to the bottom. It just wins that matchup almost immediately. Pentagleam Sorceress. When she's rode by Hexaorb, you look at top 3 and put them back in any order. Obviously, this helps out for all your effects and gives you potentially the access to a crit trigger. Or if you know the top cards, you can painkiller the first card and then hit the triggers if they're there. And when she's played on rearguard, you check top card and put it at the top or bottom. If you bottom deck it, she gains plus 2,000. It's not terrible. You play more in the main deck, but we'll get to that later. Lastly is Hexaorb. Her first effect is when you drive check a trigger, you pass 10,000, so meaning triggers give you 20,000, and it's just really solid. Her second effect is if you Persona Road, you can counterboss 1, soul boss 1, choose up to 1 critical or front trigger from your hand and put it on top of the deck, and this unit gains triple drive. So getting triple drive in V is pretty, not VD, is pretty good. And with the trigger addition and putting one on top, it's just really solid. I think the deck is really good, and next set she'll get a bit more early game with some of her cards, so it makes it not as easy just to guard early game and take the late game stuff. For triggers, we just do the 4 heals, because heals. For crits, we just do 4 and then 8. You could make some of these fronts if you wanted the option with Hexaorb to put the front on top. I just don't like playing front triggers and think the crits majority of the time better. Then just 3 draws. Again, you could play fronts if you desire, but I just personally think draws are better. This deck, surprisingly, despite being an OTT kind of esque theme, doesn't really draw cards. And then just the 1 over trigger. The counter one just gives all your drive checks, drive check. We know about it. I said about in Bastion, and it's pretty well known as one of the better ones. So always play one at least in any format you can. Grade 1s, you get the 4 PGs out of the way. You know what they are. Same in all the videos. Then we play 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck of Tier Square Sorceress. We weren't playing this at first in the main deck, but I think just the second effect to counterboss 1 and tuck the front row when you try to get a trigger really helps out in certain matchups. You can get rid of Bastion's Alden, which puts another grade 3 in the deck, but they don't really have a way to shuffle, so it just puts them to the bottom. It doesn't really help that much in the Barrow matchup, but it's fine. They're just cards on board. Get rid of a Deep Sonicer to the bottom, meaning they can't tuck it back in if they only have 1 or 2. When you get rid of a ride deck card to the bottom, it goes back to the ride deck. Keep that in mind, so they can't get it anymore. Then 3 Knight of Heavenly Wind bot. She's just your tanky booster. This can be other copies. I just found the cards I was playing didn't really help out that much, and this helps Fasado push 23, which I think is really good because it helps force 15k shield off of Hexaorb. It forces a 25 shield. So it's just really solid. We really need to hit with Fasado at least once or twice to make this deck really good, so that's our main goal. Then we'll play 3 Painkiller Angel. I've seen a lot of builds playing 4. And when I played 4, it was good, but I almost never had the soul. You can just keep it as an AK booster, but I know I played these. It's soul boss 1 at the end of the battle boosted. You can kill it to draw a card. Just really good card. It allows you to get cards that maybe are on the top that you don't want, but you know triggers are underneath it. And then 2 Divine Sister. Tartine. When she's played on rear, you can soul boss 1 and rest this unit to look at the top 2 cards. One will go back on top, the other will go to the bottom. Once again, you're just digging for triggers at this point. Solid. I was playing it at 4, but I didn't find much use for it, so I'm cutting it to 2 seemed like the logical choice. Then, as I said before, 3 of the one from the ride deck. When she is placed on rear guard, just check top card, either put it back on top, put it back on bottom. Bottom deck gets it +2. It's really solid. You just dig for triggers. You could take these out for almost anything. They're the Divine Sister. Grade 2, you can Soul Boss when you drive a trigger once a turn to give it +5. I don't think it's that great. I just kind of like its +5 shield. It's not fantastic, and I could see you cutting it if you wanted to for Refluke. Maybe additional copies of her. But I just don't personally like to play that many grade 3s in this build, so 2 is fine. 4 Fasado, because I'm assuming if you play Keter Sanctuary for the foreseeable future, this will be your 4 of. When you hit, you cannot charge 1, soul charge 1, and it has resist. It helps out against Prison if you're fighting that. It helps out against Virina because they can't snipe it. It helps out against Eugene because they can't kill it. Helps out against Orphis, they can't pop with their order. It's just really solid. Can't get rid of it unless they attack into it, which is forcing an attack away from your Vanguard. Back to Hexaorb. It doesn't really have a Rigor effect, but you're playing it for Sonar copies, obviously. Really solid card. Not much to say about it. 2 Divine Sister. This could be up to 3, even 4 if you wanted to, but I never really found myself with the use of the Counterboss 2 as much because I need it for other stuff. Mostly just Hexaorb and the Counterboss 1 to attack the bottom. But this is a decent card and really solid. Some people play it in Bastion. I personally don't, but I see what you'd want to. When you draw your trigger unit, you can Counterboss 2 and restand this, it gets +5. So you'll know what your top card is almost all of the game. So it can give you that other attack. If you scry and you see the Ultima, wait to swing with this. You just get 2 attacks out of your million power, and it's really solid. Then 1 Hopeful Sonato. This could, again, be easily cut. I like the 15k shield it provides, and I find with Hexaorb you can get it pretty okay. If you see it on top, maybe get a Painkiller off of it. You could play it a 3rd one of these instead if you wanted to, though. But I can see why you'd want to keep it in or take it out. That's Hexaorb. We'll see some more fights with this on the channel. I think it's a good deck. Again, it gets a lot better next set. So if you want to pick it up now, I definitely recommend it if you like that kind of OTT playstyle. But next set is really good. And yeah, thank you. Remember to subscribe, like, comment.